Semicolons and colons. Semicolons and colons, the scariest punctuation in English. First, we'll look at the semicolon. A semicolon is like a comma's big brother. A semicolon is stronger than a comma, but not as strong as a period. The first thing we can do with a semicolon, join two independent clauses that are closely related. A comma needs the help of a coordinating conjunction, but a semicolon can do it all by itself. We adopted a beautiful male kitten, and he weighs 15 pounds now. We have two independent clauses joined with the conjunction and a comma, but the semicolon can do this. He can knock out the coordinating conjunction and just stand all by himself. The second way semicolons can be used is to join two independent clauses with a conjunctive adverb such as however, therefore, in fact, in addition, nonetheless, and on the other hand. We were there at the right time. However, we still missed seeing him. We have two independent clauses joined with a conjunctive adverb, however. Be careful, these words can be added to a sentence as an interjection and don't always need a semicolon. She might, however, want to see you. In this sentence, we only have one independent clause. However is stuck in as an interjection. You have to pay attention when you're writing to decide whether or not to use the semicolon. The third way to use semicolons, join two independent clauses joined by a coordinating conjunction when the clauses are long or when one or more of them contains commas. After I'm done, I really want to see the game, but the mall is having a really big sale. Instead of a comma, we use a semicolon here because we have an introductory adverb clause and a comma, and then two independent clauses. The fourth way to use semicolons with items in a series if there are commas within parts of the series. The invited speakers are the President of the Union, the Councilwoman Virginia Gardner, a student advocate, and Principal Smith. We have four things in this series: the President of the Union, the Councilwoman Virginia Gardner, there's a comma in that section, a student advocate, and Principal Smith. Since there is a comma in one of the items in the series, then we use semicolons to connect them so we don't get confused. Colons have several special uses. First, introduce a list. The list has to come after a complete sentence or independent clause. Do not capitalize the items in the list unless they are proper nouns. A successful kayaking trip needs the following items: kayak, paddle, life jacket, dry bag, headlamp with extra batteries, and a signaling whistle. We were lucky enough to visit all these cities: Los Angeles, Phoenix, Reno, and Las Vegas. They're capitalized because they're proper nouns. Introduce a list continued. Do not use a colon after a verb. Incorrect. The four fastest dogs in the world are the Greyhound, the Saluki, the Afghan Hound, and the Vizsla. We have the colon after the verb are. We don't need the colon there. We could write this sentence without it. The four fastest dogs in the world are the Greyhound, the Saluki, the Afghan Hound, and the Vizsla. To use a colon, we could write it this way: these are the four fastest dogs in the world. That's a complete clause with a colon following it, and then the Greyhound, the Saluki, the Afghan Hound, and the Vizsla. Introduce a list continued. Do not use a colon in the middle of a prepositional phrase. Incorrect. I have ridden my bike to Burgettstown, Atlasburg, Avilia, and McDonald. Here, the prepositional phrase to Burgettstown, Atlasburg, Avilia, and McDonald has a colon stuck in the middle of it. You don't need the colon there. You could rewrite the sentence without it. I have ridden my bike to Burgettstown, Atlasburg, Avilia, and McDonald. Or you can make it so you need a colon and say, I have ridden my bike to these towns. There you have a complete clause before the list. More on introduce a list. Continued. Do not use a colon after because or as. Incorrect. He was late to class because he was playing a video game in his locker. We don't use a colon after because. You could take it out and just write the sentence the way it is. He was late to his class because he was playing a video game in his locker. The first way to use a colon was to introduce a list. Second, use a colon between two independent clauses when the second clause explains or summarizes the first. The teacher was right. We do have state tests next week. The third thing is to use a colon to introduce a formal or long quotation. Mahatma Gandhi was very inspirational when he said these words, "You must be the change you wish to see in the world." Fourth, use a colon after the salutation of a business letter. Dear Sir. Fifth, use a colon after labels that signal important ideas, such as beware, bridge freezes before roads. Sixth, use a colon between the hour and minute figures of clock time, 6:45 a.m. Seventh, use a colon between the chapter and verse when referring to certain religious works such as the Bible, the Quran, and the Talmud. The Quran, Joseph 12:69. The Bible, Revelations 21, verse 3.